of their churches and the numerous small businesses, I have fond memories of the bakeries, that anchored those neighborhoods and gave them a kind of vital density. Catholics increasingly came to seem like a people who had literally built a civilization of their own, one that possessed an enviable warmth and rootedness. That I was certainly romanticizing matters did not detract in later years from my continued interest in this not inconsiderable achievement. Whatever romance might have been brewing between me and the Catholic Church went underground during my college and graduate school years. I was quite passionately involved in the anti-war movement and other forms of student activism, proving that I was, after all, very much my parents' daughter. But for me, at least, politics could not provide answers to certain ultimate questions, which I think in retrospect were lurking beneath my earlier fascination with Catholicism. Having married an exemplary Catholic and begun the family, I found it almost natural to join the tribe myself. This step was possible, I hasten to add, only because of the Second Vatican Council and the reforms that came in its wake. Still my parents' daughter, I doubt that I could have converted to the Church in what I quite reasonably regarded as its triumphal mode. I needed a church that, while claiming to possess ultimate truth, was also willing to concede that it did not have all the answers. I thought I had found it in post-conciliar Catholicism. A practicing social historian by the time I converted, I did not turn immediately to Catholics as a focus of my research. My first book, which barely mentioned religion, had to do with women's employment in the early decades of the 20th century. That many of my subjects were Catholic did not at first impress me. But as I tried subsequently to figure out ways to understand what I vaguely termed working-class culture, religion came into focus. At least in the U.S. context, after all, religion has been a powerful force in many working-class communities. An initial foray into the archives to study a long-term and episodically violent dispute in a local Polish parish stimulated something like a second conversion. Catholics were to be my principal subject from now on. I had much to learn to come up to speed in what was essentially a new field of study, such being the balkanized nature of American history in the academy. 30-odd years later, I am still learning. But I did discover in the course of my first Catholic project that I quite enjoyed being situated both within and outside that religious tradition, which is where my personal history has placed me. It seemed to make it easier to balance both appreciation of the tradition and a critical perspective on it. Whether I have succeeded in achieving an equitable balance is up to the listener to judge. A happy consequence of becoming a historian of American Catholicism was acquiring a new set of colleagues, most of whom had been laboring in this particular vineyard for the whole of their scholarly careers. Thanks to their superior training and venturesome minds, the field was even then undergoing a genuine renaissance. Freed from immigrant defensiveness, the new Catholic history provided a fresh take on the past, attentive to lay religious experience and the essential variables of gender, ethnicity, race, and class. The field has only grown stronger in the intervening years, more sophisticated theoretically, and more imaginatively shaped by a heightened sensitivity to the insights of anthropology, psychology, and literary studies. Without the work of my accomplished colleagues, this book would not have been possible. I do not hold any of them responsible for my interpretations or emphases, with which some may disagree, but I am indebted to them all. Thanks are due as well to the many archivists who have labored, often in straitened financial circumstances, to make Catholic sources available to researchers. This book surveys almost 500 years of